What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome to the ocean of love. I'm drowning. You should be too. This is my YouTube channel. Today I'm gonna be talking about a dream that I had where I encountered extraterrestrial beings. If you're new to my channel, press subscribe. I drop spiritual type content all the time. And if you liked the video, let me down in the comments and type down in the comments what you liked about it. So yeah, I'm just gonna get started. About like 2 weeks ago, actually, 2 weeks ago exactly, I had a dream. Now, let me give you some background. I've been kind of extremely obsessed with the UFO topic and like extraterrestrials being hidden from us for a long time, and let's just say there's a lot of evidence supporting it, and I'm really heavy into people like Corey Goode and David Wilcock and their testimonies when it comes to secret space program and people they've met and the correlations between what other people have said. And Corey Goode having a connection with a group of entities. You know, I desire to find my star family as well, because I know that I'm a wanderer. I know that I'm an extraterrestrial soul in a human body, because I've always been extremely different, and I've always kind of felt like, why am I here again? Even though I never really believed in reincarnation or anything like that, I always kind of felt like, why am I here again? Like, why do I have to live through this? Why do I have to go through this experience again? Because I feel like I've gone through it more than once already. And, you know, there's even more things. It's like a little questionnaire that you can answer to find out if you're an extraterrestrial soul in a human body or not. And the reason they're coming back down here to incarnate is because we want to raise the vibration of the Earth as well as the humans on it, so that they can finally ascend and not have to go through that 26,920 year cycle that it takes for us to revolve around our companion star. And we're also moving into a different part of the galaxy that is more dense and higher vibration with energy. This is just science, guys, and I've used spiritual things to make even more sense of it and make it relevant to my life. So how did this dream start? I was inside my backyard. It seemed like it was nighttime, and it was at a subconscious level. In all my dreams, I feel like I know that I'm dreaming, but this one was different because it's like I knew I was there to make connection with extraterrestrials, because that night when I went to sleep, that's what my intention was, to have a dream about that, and possibly even meet my soul family. So I'm in the backyard looking over my tree line. I'm going to put an image right over here that shows you my tree line. And just over those trees, those two trees right there, and remember this is nighttime, there was like, I looked over there to call out to beings and see if anybody would show up and if I could make a connection with anybody. And I sent out this mental message, and almost instantly I saw something floating up above the tree line. But it wasn't like a disc or like a triangle shape or a cigar like the classic UFO things, or like a sphere. No, it was like this weird, like, it looked like a ship of some sort, but it kept folding in on itself and changing form. And it was just kind of floating like it was in space or something. It was just floating extremely slowly. I couldn't understand why it was doing that, and it intrigued me at the very least. So I was looking at it, and I had the full intention of just letting it know that I love it, and I would love to make contact with this being, with this craft, whatever it is. And it was folding in and out of itself constantly. It was really cool, I'm gonna be honest with you. I might put a thing on the screen that kind of explains what it kind of looked like. Anyway, so the moment I sent it a message with my thoughts, like I just kind of thought like, come here. It was like floating like at a steady pace, and then it stopped. And then it thought about it. And then it started going this way, headed towards me. And I was like, whoa, okay, this is awesome. And it started coming closer and closer, and it was weird because the closer it got, the smaller it looked. When it was far away, it looked like it was pretty big, but when it got really close, it almost stayed the same size to me. So like far away, it was like this big, but when it got closer and closer, it was like that big. So it's like my viewpoint was changing the shape of it because of my perception. It was very weird. And my friend Anthony was in my dream. My boy Anthony right here. he was in the dream with me, and he was like standing like right here, and the pool was like behind him, and it flew up behind his head to where I couldn't see it behind his head, and for some reason I got the intuitive inspiration to take an action. And it was weird because like I didn't even think about it. I just kind of like put my arms behind his head to reach out to this thing behind him, and I was like looking at him, but like I was reaching behind him to try to touch it. And then in the corner of my eye, I saw some weird human looking thing that was bald walk out from behind the bushes, and it was wearing like a blue shirt kind of thing, and not like one of these shirts, but like it was, all I know that it was wearing some upper body thing for sure, and it was wearing like I think clothes in general, but like it wasn't like human clothes. It was, but the upper body clothing that it was wearing was blue, and it looked like a really skin tight shirt or something. And I didn't even get scared or anything or super excited really. I just kind of almost expected it to happen that way in the dream. So I walk up to this thing, me and Anthony walk up to this thing, and we have like a full conversation, and we ask each other questions and stuff. And you know, at the time I didn't know it, but when I woke up and analyzed this dream, we were communicating through our thoughts, and that explains why my mouth wasn't moving and its mouth wasn't moving when we were talking. And the closer I got, the more I saw that it was just like us. It looked kind of like this, but imagine it to have like a more normal sized face, not scrunched up. And like the eyes, they weren't black, they were like this, but they were bigger than ours, and they were like really, I could see a lot of detail in their eyes and in his eyes. And his head was kind of like, part of it was big, while part of it was short, and it was like almost deformed kind of. And he had his mouth open like the whole time, like it seemed like a really cheesy, like nice smile, but it was like and his teeth were all jagged and like kind of scary looking, but I didn't get scared. It was just a friend, it seemed like. And it didn't feel familiar to me in any way. It was just like, oh, this is awesome, like cool, I met a new friend and a new little being to talk to. It was about exactly my height now that I think about it. I'm like 5'6" or 5'7", and you know, we do this for a little while, we communicate for a little while, and then somehow it gets into my head, it like communicates to me that it has to go. It never said like, alright, I gotta go guys, like bye. It really just said it just kind of let me know that it was time for it to do something, and it couldn't stay there for any longer. And you know, I was like, oh yeah, no problem, go on dude, go on, have a good time, do whatever you're doing. Not exactly, you know, it was in the telepathy way. And it kind of just turns around and walks towards my little garden thing, but it just kind of fades out of existence. It doesn't like walk behind a bush and disappear. It like just kind of disappears. Like it's almost like I watched it happen, then I forgot about it disappearing. It was weird. So then after that happens, I'm like, okay, like he had to go so soon, I'm just gonna ask for another one. Who's out there? Who wants to communicate with me? Like, I want to see another one. I really just put that intention out there over the tree line, like, I want to see another one. I want to make contact with someone else. And I saw this gigantic, like, it seemed really, really big at the time, like, because it was like far away. This happened a lot in this dream, where like the farther away it looked, the bigger it looked, but it was really not that big. But anyway, I saw this giant black triangle, not even triangle, I saw this giant black pyramid craft. And I'll put an image on the screen right here of what it looked like. That's crazy. It looked just like that, but the black bricks were like sleek, and you could see their light reflecting off of it. And in between the bricks, there was like blue light coming out of it, like really fluorescent blue light coming out of it. And at the bottom, I could see like lights. And I was sending it the message like, come here into my yard, but I was thinking at the same time as telling it that like, oh, it's not gonna fit in my backyard, and plus I have a pool, like where's it gonna go? It's too big to fit in my pool. And like it just kept going. It didn't stop to analyze my thoughts or anything like the other one did, like to just stop and make a decision. Like it just kept going. And I was getting kind of sad, like, oh no, please don't leave, like this is so awesome, I want to make contact with you, you're a freaking pyramid, like this feels like it means something. And it gets over my garage, and it stops in the street, like over the street, and then it goes down, and I could feel it touch the ground. Not physically, I didn't feel like the ground rumble or anything, it was just like I psychically knew that it touched the ground. So me and Anthony run out there to the fence, and we open the gate, and we walk outside, and instead of it being this normal street that you're looking at right now, with all these cars driving by and stuff, it was more like it seemed like a little parking lot kind of thing, and it had like a fence and like a little gondola thing covering it. I don't know if it's called gondola or not, but it's like had a little roof over it and like all these different poles, kind of like in apartment complexes. And I was running, and I stood out behind this apartment, like this pole, and part of the pyramid was poking out the side. Like I could see it just a little bit, and like I could see that it had already opened up. It like unfolded, and there was like all this gold. There was like all this gold machinery inside of it that like it just, and it was, and I could see like a being's leg, and it was really awesome because I saw it, but it was like it was familiar, like I've seen it before in another dream, or like I've experienced seeing that thing before. It's very weird to me. And, you know, I wasn't surprised at all while this was happening. It was just almost expected. And I see the steps form out of the pyramid at the bottom, and then I see this being step out of it. But I read this book by Sherry Wilde called Rejoining My Cosmic Family, something like that. And she kind of details all of her experiences with her cosmic family and her mission of coming here, and like how they were visiting her all along, and that they had to clear her mind most of the time because she wouldn't be prepared for it. It would freak her out, and like she got hypnosis and she got regressed about it, and she had to go through the memories and clear them up, and she knows that they're loving people that are her real family. And in this book she described these short ET beings who looked kind of like Greys, but they looked like regular people at the same time. And when they would move, it was like, when you're looking at them, you're looking straight at them, but it's like they're not there. It's really hard to explain, but like when they move, it's like a fluid movement. It's not like how we move, how it's just kind of like an action. It's like all of it is fluid. Like every part of their body, everything, every essence that they're projecting out to our consciousness, it's like all of it is. It's like all of it is taking a lot of effort to keep them inside this density, this dimension. And when it would move, it was like dancing almost, but it seemed like it was taking a lot of effort for it to stay in this dimension. If that makes any sense. Like I could tell it was experiencing time completely different than I was. Because we experience time like this happens, then this happens, then this happens, but that being was probably like having to shape itself into different positions, kind of like that. Yeah, that's kind of how it was moving right there. And it started walking closer, and like at first it was stepping down, and then my consciousness shifts to a scene where it was like walking towards us, and it was just a little bit shorter than me, and it looked like kind of like a cliche alien gray head, but it wasn't big and bulbous. The skin was kind of like brownish, but more tan. And it looked like there was only a thin layer of skin over really thick bone. And it looked like all of its structure was just bone. Like I thought it was just made out of bone, but after analyzing it, I think there was like a thin layer of skin over its bone that was kind of tan colored or like brownish. And its eyes were like kind of like that way, like kind of like that. And they were like a really dull brown, kind of like those really cliche pens that you get at school, or like those really like stereotypical pens where it's just like a cap and you can pull it off and whistle it, or like flip it around the other way and blow on it and it makes a whistle sound. And it's like that dull brown color that's at the end of that tip. That's kind of like what the color of its eyes were. And it had like a pointy thing. At first I thought it was like wearing a headdress or something from ancient Egyptian times, like kind of thing. But after analyzing the dream, it was just the shape of its head, and it was like pointing up at the top, and then one pointing off the sides, the two sides, and it was all just one part of its head, and it was pretty big head, you know. I didn't think it had a nose. I don't remember a mouth being on it. And it couldn't express emotions because it didn't have like the facial muscles like we do. Like You know, like, it seemed like it didn't have any articulation within itself to express emotions aside from like projecting thought patterns and like things like that. So I could just read everything off this thing while it was walking towards me. And its body was kind of frail and like really bony looking, but not human-like. It was, I mean, kind of human-like because it had 2 arms and 2 legs and a head, but otherwise it seemed like otherworldly, kind of. And it was like I either teleported to another time or I was seeing myself from its perspective. But if it's the second one, it wouldn't really make any sense because I saw these 2 blob beings laughing, looking at it, and I thought it was just the way it was perceiving us when we were looking at it, and it just looked like really big fat skin bags that were kind of disgusting, like Jabba the Hutt or something. I don't think that was the case. I think maybe I lost time in a dream or something. I don't know. Good question. Really, really interesting stuff happened. I didn't include that part in my dream journal because I thought it didn't make any sense, but I might as well tell you. So after that, I woke up and I was like, holy crap. Because at first I didn't even think I had a dream. I only remembered one of the dreams because I usually have like 3 dreams in one night. And I was starting to write down one of them, and then I remembered the alien dream. And then the dream before that one, I was like, holy crap, I gotta write this. So I scratched it out and started writing down the first dream. And then I got to the alien one. Or no, I think I wrote the one about the aliens first. And then as I was writing it, I was like learning more about what I saw and analyzing it, making it a solid reality. And I was like, why was it so familiar to me? Like this being, the second being that I came across, like when I made eye contact with it and I saw it, I wasn't surprised at all. And like, I wasn't like intrigued. I wasn't like, ooh, this is cool and new. I looked at it and it was just like familiar. Like I knew it for some reason. I can't explain why. It seemed like it was familiar to me. That's pretty cool. And after I got done writing about it and drawing some images on my journal to try to describe what it was easier, so if someone else got a hold of my journal, if I got a hold of it later, I could remember exactly. But I'll never forget that dream. It's so in detail. Like, how can you ever forget a dream when you make contact with extraterrestrials? Anyway, so I get up to go to the bathroom, and I look in the mirror, and I almost jumped back, like, because my face was shaped, like, the very essence of the structure of my face is exactly how the structure of that being's face was. And that's when I got the idea that maybe I met my soul family. Maybe I met one of my true family members, who's an extraterrestrial. Very interesting. I've never seen a description of an extraterrestrial or alien, online at all that describes what I saw. And I was trying to draw it, but like it just kept coming off cheesy or like a cartoon, and I don't want it to come off like that. If I'm gonna draw it, it's gonna be at a time period whenever I know exactly what I'm gonna try to draw. I'm gonna describe it to somebody, but I've never seen an ET with that description before, but I've seen similarities between that one. It almost appeared like the Ender's Game extraterrestrial, like you see here, and like a combination of the gray that you see there. And you know, that's super fucking crazy in my opinion. And I just got done going to the bathroom after that, and I stood up to wash my hands, and then I was like having my arms like this, and I pulled back to look in the mirror, and bam, I was like, what the fuck? My body is shaped kind of like how that being's body is. And like, I'm not gonna lie, I have a very asymmetrical body shape, and I have this chest that like points out. Like I have this this pigeon chest. I can't explain it. And like this part of my rib is like just nice and smooth, while this part kind of comes out a little bit. And like the way that it appeared, it reminded me so much of that being that I saw in my dream. And I was like, oh my god, did I meet my soul family? Or is that like me? Or is that like me, what I really look like when I'm not here? Good question. Really wild stuff. So that's my first alien dream that I'm going to talk about, my first extraterrestrial experience that I'm going to bring to you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. You know, it was really awesome experience to have that. And God, it's so wild to think about that still. It's so beautiful to think. And yeah, I'm still going to be doing videos like 5 ways to live in the moment type stuff, but I'm going to be making this a little bit more of a personal channel and talk about things that I care about and just get my thoughts across. And if I'm worried about something, I'll I'll put it online too, because before I was thinking I need to post videos about like what am I gonna do for people, how am I gonna help people, how am I gonna make a difference, how am I gonna teach people things, but like it's not really about all that. I really just kind of need to get my experience across and not really be like, you need to learn this, you need to do this to be happy, like, and be over exaggeration. No, I'm just gonna be honest with you guys, be frank. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you like the video, please press that like button, maybe subscribe if you're interested in more topics like this. I'm going to be talking about things like astral projection and, you know, meditation and what's our purpose here on Earth and all these different things. If you have any topics that you would like to see me discuss or give my thoughts on, put it in the comments. You know, I'm really open. I love you guys. Namaste. Go drown your friends in love.